see if this clicker works. Yes. All right. So my purpose on this panel is to share insights from what we, as the service provider platform, are seeing right now in terms of MOOC content activity. And let me frame that first by saying my definition of content in this panel is content that a professor assigns as recommended or mandatory readings to a course, not necessarily the videos that they create themselves. As a little bit of background, the SIPX copyright technology is something that literally grew out of the academic environment. We are a Stanford University spin-out. Our original research project name was the Stanford Intellectual Property Exchange. And the design of it was to network together all of the different copyright stakeholders who are involved in the academic ecosystem. So to channel Tim O'Reilly's keynote from yesterday, what we're really trying to do is to close that loop. And by doing so, we're trying to improve the transparency and the communication that goes between all of these different stakeholders. So publishers understand what professors want and can price properly. Libraries and students are interacting with each other as well. And it really situates us in a very unique place to be able to see what kind of content are professors selecting for these courses, and to see it from the consumer level, at the prices that are given. Are the students actually buying this? How are they participating? And also to take a look at what new things publishers are willing to go out there and experiment with. So as an end-to-end network, we focused on managing, distributing, and measuring higher education course materials. And not only do we bring together all of those stakeholders, we want to make sure that the critical data each of those stakeholders contains is passed forward to where it needs to go. So for example, things like library subscriptions should be communicated to professors as they're creating their course materials. And they should also know, as they're selecting materials, what other open access or public domain resources could you see in your results that match your same search parameters. So it's being able to bring data like that in real time to a point where it's actually useful to the professors and to the students, which is in the learning management systems like Mimi was talking about, where they're going in to set up their course materials as well as retrieve their course materials, and in the online courses like MOOCs. And a picture speaks 1,000 words, so let me show you what I mean by that. What you're seeing is a snapshot of Dan's course, and the way he organized his readings was by having under the readings tabs different weeks and the readings associated with each week offered out. Now what SIPX is a hyperlink in this case. So a professor, when they select their course reading, SIPX generates a link. Something's very simple, something that's very flexible and can pretty much go anywhere. When a student comes in and clicks that link, SIPX understands the context of that student. If they are affiliated with a school and that school has subscription benefits for the students, then we apply those. If they're a non-affiliated student and need to make a purchase, we know how much the publisher has set the price as, and we can conduct that transaction with the student and give them access to the document that way. That allows professors really to assign what they need to assign for the course. It saves schools time and human resources from having to go in and clear all of these materials manually. It's an option for students to get instant access that's contextualized and priced according to what they need. And it gives students the benefit of being able to gain library subscriptions access and really leveraging out what the schools are paying for in subscription dollars. And for me, and what the rest of this presentation on, is really looking at what are the new ways people are actually using something when it's so flexible and so simple. And really, I think publishers are willing to experiment because there is that potential for huge opportunity here. We hear, the M in MOOC stands for massive. And that means something. That means that we have tens of thousands of eyeballs that we can do something with. And what is that something? No one really knows yet, but there's something there. Even with high attrition rates in these courses, even if the students don't all finish the class, you're still dealing with thousands of students who have made a personal commitment to a deeper learning experience in a certain subject matter. So they're open and receptive to bringing forward content that could be reasonably priced and accessible, and there's opportunity in that. We know, from the experience that we've seen running through our platform that there is global adoption. We are 90 countries and counting so far in terms of the users on our system, as well as we know that most of the students that come in for a MOOC are not university affiliated. The second point I wanted to make here is that we are seeing most of the MOOC students behaving differently and consuming content differently than what we would expect from the campus students. SIPX does run campus services as well as MOOC services. And this is my personal theory, but when a campus student takes a course, you're investing tens of thousands of dollars of your money or mommy and daddy's money into finishing all your courses, achieving an appropriate level of proficiency in each of these subjects, and getting your degree at the end of that. So there's motivation there that's guiding completion and reading of everything. And that's not what we see in the MOOC classes. As Dan was saying, we really have people who are coming in and just thinking that they want to brush up on one or two subjects that may be covered in week 2 or week 3, and maybe they're not motivated because they haven't invested those tens of thousands of dollars into finishing the entire course. So what that gives us is if we look at the behavior of the consumer and what they're doing, what they want, and we're trying to meet that demand, we really need to think more flexibly. And that one-size-fits-all pricing and that flat fee fixed pricing model for an entire class does not fit a MOOC the same way that it does an on-campus course. And again, to channel Tim O'Reilly from yesterday, do I know exactly what's going to happen in the space? No, but I think that we need to test things, make educated guesses, and go out there and try it and see what happens. And what I get most excited about when I talk about MOOCs is, being able to solve problems for the libraries and the professors and the students, but also there's so much power that comes from being able to understand the data and the analytics that we're collecting right now in terms of seeing this kind of content activity. So, we could definitely see the obvious things. What are the most popular articles? What are the cost tolerances across different geographies? We are doing something, taking that let's try something and see if it works approach again. We are doing something in terms of geographic pricing in some of our upcoming MOOCs. So we've got 3 MOOCs coming up, 2 on the edX platform and 1 on the Coursera platform, that are trying out geographic pricing for the first time, where with SIPX's technology that detects IP addresses coming into the system and where those users are geographically located, we are applying a 50% discount for the publishers have allowed us to apply a 50% discount on their content for developing nations. And it's the first time where we can see, in the first couple of courses we saw huge uptake from developed nations, US, Canada, UK, great numbers there, very small participation in terms of content purchase from Pakistan, from developing nations, those kinds of things. And what is the cause of that? There's lots of guesses, but how can we try to fix it? Well, if we apply different price points to try to make things more accessible, maybe we reach a broader audience. Maybe those students can buy at 50 cents and not have to pay $5, which is their monthly salary. So there's a lot of different things that we want to go out there and explore. One of the things that I get really excited about is as we amass more and more data, we're going to be able to see kind of predictive trends. So, if you think of the potential for this kind of data, being able to identify what is the content that is associated with the most successful students in courses. Does that tell us something? Of course, there's lots of false positives, false negatives, but we can start, with big data, what you can really start seeing are usage trends, interaction trends, participation trends, and I think that's enormously valuable to being able to improve the quality of education. So with that, I'll pass literally the baton over to Laura. And again, quoting Tim O'Reilly, just try it and let's see what happens.
Thanks, Franny.